Matt, are you there?
Yeah, hi Bart. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Got a hand for us?
Yeah, I do. So this is 510 at the Encore in Vegas.
At the Encore in Vegas. We just talked about the Encore in Boston. This is Encore in Vegas. Encore in Vegas. By the way, was the poker room always in the Encore, or was it in the Win at one time?
I don't know.
It must have been at the. I mean, Encore came after the Win, right? I guess Win and Encore have been around for a long time. I was just when I went there. I'm kind of just thinking in my head, like they revamped the poker room, and is it possible that they moved it from the Win over to the Encore? Or I don't know, I'm crazy. They put a 5K cap on this. I remember this used to be traditionally like an uncapped game, but they put a 5K cap on it or something like that.
I'm not sure. I bought it for 1,000.
Okay,
Not sure.
you don't know what the cap was? Okay,
Wasn't worried about that.
okay, all right. So you're sort of on the shorter side, I'm sure, because I think
Yeah,
at
so
a
I'm
minimum,
starting
it's a
the
3K
hand with
cap.
1360.
So you're starting the hand with 1360, but I mean you're probably one of the smaller stacks
Yeah,
at the table.
yeah.
Okay, so 1360 effective. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm under the gun, and I raised to 30 with two jacks with the jack of clubs, and then the cutoff is the only caller.
So Jack of clubs, Jack of diamonds, I'm going to put down, cutoff calls, and you're going to be heads up. So it's going to be like, what? I think this is a time game, so it's probably 70.
Yeah, so it's 70 in there.
60. Wouldn't it be 75 if it's a time game? 30 plus 30 plus
Yeah,
10
you're
plus
right. It
5.
should be 75.
75. So you go to 30 with Jack of clubs, Jack of diamonds, cutoff calls. Just out of curiosity, like what time of day was like this game? Was it just a
This
normal
was
game?
Sunday night,
Sunday night, like recently?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago on a Sunday night. So that's not necessarily, I would say, like prime time poker playing, but maybe it's a little bit less nitty than. Like,
Yeah, and it was Labor Day weekend. So
Labor. Oh, well, that is then. That's like a Saturday night, Sunday night on Labor Day. So I don't know if this guy's recreational or not, but these games.
no, he seemed like a regular there.
Okay, these games should be as good as they're going to come. I mean, you're playing at the best time on a Sunday night. Okay, so 75 to the flop.
Yeah, so the flop is Jack 10-9 with 10-9 of clubs.
All right, so I'm going to put Jack of hearts, 10 of clubs, 9 of clubs. So you flop top set here. Okay.
Yes.
Uh,
So I check. I think I check just about everything here. Cutoff bets 50 into 70. 75.
yep. So you think you would check just about everything here. I don't know if that's necessarily correct. Now, obviously, this board is definitely better for the field caller than the preflop raiser or you from under the gun. Would this necessarily always be a check 100 board, like heads up? I mean, I could see it kind of multi-way, but like you're still going to have like king queens. I don't know if you're opening king queen off. If you were opening king queen off, like say, as I say in live poker, in a drop game, you should open king queen off because it's almost going to be 8-handed. I would imagine that would mean that this board wouldn't be checked 100 if you open king queen off because you have some chunk of nut hands, right?
Yeah.
And then also, you have some draws to balance out, which like combo club draws, straight draw, backdoor heart draw types of things, ace queen, which is like, open-ended, backdoor heart draw. So this one's not quite the same, like I would say, as like 7, 8, 9, I feel like, because you wouldn't be opening Jack 10. So I'm not 100% sure on that one that you say you'd always check, that you should be always checking this board. Off the cuff, I don't 100% agree.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So cutoff bet's 50, okay?
Yeah, and I call.
So hero calls. Now, did you ever consider check raising here?
I did not.
So, I mean, if you're going to check, obviously, like you're in situations where it's going to be check 100. That doesn't mean that you always have to call 100. Well, I mean, if you were to continue, there should be some check raises. I'm not saying that Jack might be the absolute best one because you block like a whole lot of like, top pair types of holdings, but the board is, sort of draw heavy. In a certain situation. I'm just sort of thinking out loud. But okay, so you make the call, and now the pot's 175. Plus, you're not that deep, too. So it's kind of like one of these situations where the more money that piles in, the deeper that you are, even with top set. A lot of times you're not going to have great equity. The more the more money that gets piled in on the flop, unless it's maybe like set over set, like jacks versus tens, because someone's either going to have a straight or they're going to have a hand that's got like 40% equity against you. But the shallower you get, the less you have to, you know, concern yourself with that. Again, I'm just throwing things out at you here. All right, so the pot's 175. Okay.
Yeah. So the turn is the ace of clubs.
That's not a great card for you.
No, I check, and the cutoff bet's 360.
So cutoff bet's 360. When you check all the 50 and you raise to 30, obviously you've got, you know, 1270 left in your stack moving to the turn. So this is how I would just cut 360. Wow. So this is like almost like a 2x pot size bet. The reason why I'm just sort of doing the math out is I'm wondering if you have room to call, right? If you call, you would put in you guys would put in 720. The pot would be 900 and you'd have about 900 left. Now, when you have about one pot size bet left, you know, obviously there is room to call. It's not necessarily a check, jam, or shove, but this one's pretty interesting. You've got the jack of clubs in your hand. So if he had flop straights, right, like king, queen, or something like that, and just decided to go for it because you weren't all that, you wasn't scared of the clubs. And to be honest with you, like if I had king, queen here, let's say I flatted with like king, queen off, especially if I had a club in my hand, I would not be concerned that you would have a flush here, right? When the ace of clubs comes on the turn, especially if I had a Broadway club, like what flushes can you have? The reason why I say that is it wouldn't slow me down from betting if I flatted you with king, queen. You know what I'm saying? So, but
so in real time, I didn't really realize that so much. I was thinking with him betting so big, it had to be a flush or nothing. But now that I think about it more, there's really not that many flushes that I could have, especially if he has a Broadway club.
Yes, especially if he has a Broadway club. But even if you had a hand like 7-8 here, if like say he had like 7-8 of spades, right, and he flopped the bottom end of it, even not having a Broadway club in his hand, there still aren't really all that many flushes that you can have. I mean, I suppose you could say if you truly are checking 100, then what I'm about to say doesn't have relevance because you are checking them all. But I mean, king, queen of clubs, right? King, jack of clubs, and queen, jack of clubs. The point is that when the ace of clubs comes on the turn, it really, really cuts out your flush combos as a UTG raiser, right? So especially at this stack depth, I feel like you could pound a hand like 7-8 suited too in a spot like this. You know, you don't have to worry about any of those things. The point that I'm making is that if he has those hands, right, like straight, you still have a boatload of equity as long as he doesn't have a higher club than you. Like, cause with, you know, you've got 10 outs to boat up, possibly up to like another 7 outs, to make a 1-card flush. And then my question is are these ever bets that are like, is he ever taking the sizing and then just sort of giving up? I don't like piling here though. I think I might call with 1 pot size bet left. And then if it's a brick, check and basically evaluate because you might see some just check, give ups. There's a lot of times when people take big sort of hands with equity and go super huge on turn in position and then just give up on improved. And you still have a pot size bet left. I know it seems kind of awkward because he's going over 2 times the size of the pot, but do you follow me, right? Like if you call here, the pot's going to be 900 and you've put in what, 550. So you're going to have what, like right around 800 left?
890 left.
Yeah, 890 left. What did you do?
I called.
You did call. Okay.
Yeah, I thought with the jack of clubs, it was too good to fold.
What if you didn't have the jack of clubs?
I think it'd be tougher. I'd probably still call.
Yeah. Okay. And now, what's the river?
The river's a brick. It was something like the 4 or 5 of hearts.
Okay. And you check?
I check,
assume? Yep.
And he jams for 900 effective into a pot of 895.
Cutoff jams. Well, can we find some bluffs here? So flush draws make it, right? if he's betting a flush draw, though you have the jack of clubs. We talked about the fact that he should still be able to comfortably pile straights. Now, Rashad says, you're only calling for the board to pair, so when he jams river, you're going to call again if you break your boat. I wonder about this one. Like, you're not just necessarily making an equity call. This is a situation where sometimes it can go check, check. Sometimes he can give up and you have the best hand. You are calling with a hand with equity, but you can still win. You're not always behind here. And I do wonder here, again, I don't know what kind of player this is. And sometimes I give people a little bit too much credit, but if he was a decent player here, based upon what we just talked about and the ace of clubs coming on the turn, he should be able to pile straights here. Now, if he can pile straights and he has like king, queen off in his range and he has 7-8 suited, that's 20 hands right there. And then you've got other flush draws that he might have been betting. So you have a bunch of hands that beat you here at the end, a bunch of hands. You're getting 2-1. So let's say that 20 hand beats you. I mean, obviously this is very liberally, right? But let's say that he's thinking this way where you possibly some of those, let's say 15 or 16 hands beat you, right? Then you're getting 2-1. You need to find 8 hands that you beat. You need to find 8 hands that you beat. Now you could look at this from an MDF perspective as well. We talked about that a little bit earlier where it's like, oh, well, what else am I getting here with? Am I in the top 50% of my range that I'm getting here with? It's possible, but I would look at it like, hey, I'm getting 2-1. Can I find, say, like 1/2 of hand? I mean, is it 2 times value to 1 times? Is it less than 2 times value? Then is it less than 2 times of value to bluffs? That's what I'm really looking at. Like we say, he's got 16 combos of value. Can we find 8 hands that we beat? That's how I would look at it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to find those bluffs.
And people are also saying, like, would he jam sets here? Sets of 10s, sets of 9s. I think it's, I mean, this one's pretty close.
Yeah, I don't think he should. I don't think he should overbet like that on the turn with 10s or 9s.
Graham W says 7, 8, and king, queen, no club are not going banana like this. Graham, did you listen to what I just said? It should go bananas. We shouldn't be concerned about the hero having a flush here. Now, maybe the general population doesn't think that way. I'm just at this stacked up for sure.
Yeah, do you think it's better? Because I could definitely have pocket aces here too, but I couldn't have aces with the ace of clubs. So with the jacks, with jack of clubs, there's really only one flush he could have, I was thinking. King, queen of clubs.
Now, if he doesn't have king, queen off here, if he doesn't flat with king, queen off to your under the gun raise, then obviously that changes things, a whole lot. But I think it's probably pretty close. I would... could we flip a coin here? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I'm not gonna, I could maybe see sometimes calling, maybe sometimes folding. Remember when Doug Polk did like that thing with like at Hustler Casino Live where he was like, well, if this is the ace of spades, I'm going to call. He was actually trying to call it at 25%. He needed to pick the right card twice.
Yeah.
He was going to call it 25% of the time. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you frequency this one at like 50%. What ended up happening?
So I was thinking in real time, it should probably be a flush or nothing. But now looking back at it, he could be jamming a straight if he's thinking about it right. So I did make the call. And he had king, queen offsuit with the king of clubs.
Now, did I know that he had king, queen offsuit?
It was in the email.
Well, I didn't know. I swear to God. I swear to God. So he had king, queen off. King, queen off with the king of clubs. I mean, that's going to obviously be the easiest king, queen for him to... I'm going to put king clubs, queen of spades. That's going to be the easiest one for him to beat, for him to bet across, right? Because now, like, it's like, I mean, look at you can't have a queen high flush unless it's queen jack of clubs, right? If he's got king queen with the king of clubs. And then, the only other flushes you would have would be like some sort of like suited connectors. I guess maybe like once, like if you were opening suited connectors from under the gun, right? 7, 6 of clubs, 5, 6 of clubs,
yeah,
something
probably
like
not.
That. Yeah. But thank you very much for the call. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.